Up until recently, most people still considered synthetic sport surfaces to be maintenance-free. Sadly, this is not the case, as many facility managers have discovered to their cost, with surfaces aging prematurely, unfit for use. In today's industrial and commercial world, pollutants can come from a variety of sources: factories and manufacturing processes, cars, agricultural activities, all giving rise to airborne pollutants. These airborne pollutants migrate onto a pitch via the wind and the rain, along with leaves, flora, and general dirt trafficked on by the players. This is further compounded by the breakdown of both the carpet fibers themselves and the infill, which all contribute and slowly contaminate the surface. The build-up is gradual, and the first signs may be a hardening of the surface, faster ball roll, and general change in playing characteristics. This is followed by the telltale signs of the pitch appearing to take longer to drain after heavy rain, and silt deposits being left on the surface. Closer inspection of a contaminated surface explains the reason for this deterioration. The carpet and infill act as a filter, trapping and removing the dirt. A cross-section taken of the carpet will illustrate how, while the top half of the carpet is heavily contaminated, the bottom section remains clean and devoid of any such contaminated matter. It is therefore imperative that a comprehensive maintenance regime is implemented to help prevent the build-up of these contaminants on the surface. The most common form of maintenance is drag brushing. This activity involves the use of a brush or mat pulled behind a suitable grounds vehicle. The process should ideally be carried out at least once a week, but more often if time allows. The activity helps to lift the carpet pile and keep the infill live and evenly distributed over the entire pitch. A systematic approach should be adopted, overlapping runs both laterally and then longitudinally over the surface. This action will help to correct the distribution of the infill, which, through general play, will naturally become dispersed to the sides of the playing surface, away from the high wear areas. It's important to pay attention to the prevailing wind direction, general fall of the pitch, and excess usage of the pitch at any particular end, and vary the starting position of the drag brushing procedure accordingly. Although drag brushing plays an important part, keeping the infill live and evenly distributed, it will not remove the contaminants from the surface. This is achieved by power sweeping. The process involves the use of a rotary brush, which penetrates into the top few millimeters of the surface. The infill is picked up and thrown over into a hopper, where it is sieved to remove larger debris, whilst the finer contaminants and dust are extracted via a vacuum turbine. The cleaned infill is then returned back to the surface and redistributed by the drag mat pulled at the rear of the machine. The use of a side broom and blanking plate where necessary provides edge-to-edge cleaning right up to the fence line or kickboards. This ensures that harmful debris such as stones, glass and ring pools are effectively removed from the surface or tarmacs around. Given the rise in personal injury claims, this is an essential aspect in the maintenance program. Power sweeping therefore complements the drag brushing process and should be carried out on a monthly, bi-monthly or quarterly basis dependent on pitch type, age and usage. In some cases, this frequency is increased further by clients who have adopted an approach of total power sweeping, substituting it for drag brushing both because of its effectiveness and their own in-house resources. The introduction of a drag brushing and power sweeping program is aimed at slowing down the rate of deterioration of a synthetic surface and should be introduced as early as possible from installation. Where this has not been possible, revitalization may be the answer.
A revite should be considered mid-life cycle of a pitch or earlier if the level of maintenance has been inadequate. The process is similar in theory to power sweeping, but far more intense, getting much deeper into the pile of the carpet. A revite of a pitch can take anything from 1 to 10 days, dependent on the severity of contamination. The process involves a number of key stages in order to remove the fines, dust and fibre. Again, as the infill is cleaned, it is able to be recycled back to the pitch, avoiding costly and unnecessary replacement costs. The results are quite remarkable, decompacting the surface, lifting the pile and improving porosity. Due to the nature of this technique, it can only be carried out while the weather and surface are dry, so adequate planning should be allowed in your summer schedule of works. Once the level of contamination in a surface reaches a critical point, the use of conventional brushing techniques will no longer be effective. At this stage, many clients consider their only option is to resurface. However, there is an alternative. Regeneration is a patented process which uses compressed air to penetrate into the compacted layer. Unlike older air systems, which utilize a constant stream of air, regeneration incorporates a unique hammer action, firing hundreds of jets of air per second into the surface. This allows the process to be forceful without damaging or wearing the carpet. In one pass of the machine, the contaminated layer can be carefully extracted and removed. This leaves the carpet pile open and decompacted in an almost as new condition, ready to be resanded with fresh aggregate. The technique is very specialist and is superior to the use of other methods, such as water, due to its cleanliness and control of operation. Experience has shown that the use of water simply moves the contaminated layer from the top to the bottom of the carpet, simply moving the problem, not removing it. The regeneration process can add a further 5 or 6 years onto a pitch's life, dependent on the remaining pile height of the carpet at a fraction of the cost of resurfacing. No matter how well the original installation of your facility, the harshness of climatic conditions will, over a period of time, break down the components used. Frost, in particular, penetrates joints and will highlight any weaknesses that are present. It is important that such seam failures are rectified as soon as they become apparent. Delaying such work will not only represent a hazard to users, but lead to further deterioration and stress on other sections of the carpet. Technical Surfaces not only realize the importance of this, operating a 48-hour emergency call service for its clients, but also the need to match the repair as well as possible to the existing carpet. It is for that reason that all the carpet used by Technical Surfaces is specially manufactured to its own unique specification and color. A variety of pile heights and densities ensures all repairs match as near as possible. A poorly completed repair can represent as much of a hazard as the original failure. To ensure maximum life expectancy of a synthetic pitch is achieved, it's vital that correct infill levels are maintained. Too much or too little sand will accelerate wear rate of the carpet pile, normally between 0.5 mm and 1 mm per year. Excessive sand will cause attrition with the carpet, breaking down the fibres, while insufficient infill will cause the pile to fold and expose a larger surface area in contact with players' footwear. Controlled application of new aggregate is therefore vital, as is the aggregate itself. Technical Surfaces only use specialist grade material. This is quarried under tight guidelines and closely monitored at every stage of the operation. After it is excavated, it is washed to remove the silt deposits before being kiln dried under extreme temperature, recooled and then graded according to its size and color. Finally, it's bagged and shrink wrapped to ensure that no cross-contamination occurs before it's applied to your surface. There are many other areas for consideration. Chemical treatments is an area often overlooked until substantial moss or weed growth are prevalent. A structured program of chemical treatments for both moss and weed will restrict their spread. Although the seasons are hard to predict,
Application of chemicals by a suitably qualified technician at the right time of the year will increase their effectiveness. We hope that you found this brief overview of maintaining your synthetic pitch useful. There are obviously many other areas and circumstances which will be specific to your own situation. As an overview, we would recommend the following steps are taken. First, carry out a health and safety inspection of your facility. This should include not only the playing surface, but the complete area defined by the fencing, including goals, kickboards, and the fencing itself. Using this, put together a maintenance program including the areas discussed in this presentation. This will include drag brushing and complementary power sweeping.
Allow for an annual or biannual revite of your surface dependent on age and condition.
Include a provisional sum for repairs as your surface becomes older and possible topping up of infill.
Finally, before resurfacing, consider regeneration.
Technical Surfaces remains committed to maintaining the standard of your facility. A national company specializing solely in the maintenance of synthetic surfaces with a service culture as its backbone.